Hi folks, are you having trouble managing your passenger airports? Are planes backing up on the taxiway? Are planes doing flybys because the runway is too crowded to land? Well, if so, this video may be just what you're looking for. In this tutorial, I'm going to give you 5 easy tips on how to keep those planes moving efficiently. Although this video isn't specifically about how to make money with planes moving efficiently, generally speaking, means planes making more money. So if you're ready for 5 easy tips on how to manage passenger airports, stow away your personal belongings, put your seat in the upright position, and buckle yourself in as we take off to new heights in managing passenger airports. Let's get started. Smash that subscribe button below right now and click on the bell so you don't miss out on more great content. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Or just give it a thumbs up for yourself so that you'll always be able to come back and watch it again if you need to. The first tip I have for you has to do with airport runways. And the key question is, how do you know when to add a runway? Adding a runway is easy, but it's expensive. So the real question is, when do you do it? So the easiest way to know whether or not you need a second runway is simply to click on the airport itself. Up pops the airport panel. Then click on Configure. Then go to Miscellaneous, MISC. So right here is the runway icon. And right beside the runway icon is "You need a second runway" in tiny blue letters. So the game itself will tell you when you need a second runway. There are 2 other ways to know when to add a second runway. Number 1, planes might start backing up on the taxiways or runways. And secondly, planes that are trying to land end up doing a flyby because the airport runway is in use. In any event, those are 2 additional ways to know that you need to add a runway. Although this video isn't specifically about making money, if you keep those planes flying, taking off, and landing efficiently, you're bound to be in a better position financially. So adding a runway is very simple. You just click on the airport, and up pops the airport panel. We then click on Configure, and go to Miscellaneous. And as you can see there, it's still telling me I need a second runway. So I click on the runway and I position it over that little blue dot. You can see it's costing me over $5 million, but I need a second runway. So we left click with our mouse, and now I've got a second runway. My next tip has to do with taxiways. So the question is, when do you add a taxiway? This is just my personal feeling. But if you have enough planes landing and taking off for an additional runway to be needed, then you also need an additional taxiway. And to add a taxiway, we simply click on the airport and go to Configure. Click on Miscellaneous, and there's a taxiway. Again, center over the blue dot, and we left click. And now we've got a second taxiway. My next tip is related to airport hangars. The main questions being, where should I place the hangars and how many do I need? When you initially build a passenger airport, it comes with a hangar that's immediately adjacent to one terminal. So it comes with the main building, a terminal, and I have a second terminal here. This is where the hangar would be. So you can see my preference is to put the hangar farther away, and I'll tell you why that is. As far as I can tell, you only need 1 hangar at an airport. Why have 2 hangars and pay for the maintenance of a second one if you don't need it? The reason for putting the hangar at the opposite end to the main building is related to the way the planes move when they are on the ground. Under Configure, you will see arrows on the runways and taxiways showing the direction your planes will be traveling when they're on the ground, or taking off or landing. By having the hangar here at the opposite end of the airport, I actually accomplished 2 things. First, more distance between the hangar and the terminals just means your planes have more room to maneuver. Second, In my experience, planes always seem to make a left-hand turn when they are exiting the hangar, like this aircraft is doing right now. If a plane exiting a hangar is headed towards a terminal, there's a chance the plane will in fact go to the assigned terminal at this airport. If the terminal is on the other side of the hangar, then it's likely a plane exiting the hangar will simply take off without boarding any passengers and head to the destination. Then it'll come back. So those are my recommendations when it comes to airport hangars. My next tip is related to airport terminals. Now here's the typical type of setup with an airport terminal. You have the main building on the right and you have terminals lining up on the left. Now of course in the initial setup there would have been a hangar here, but as we've discussed, I moved that. Although this airport isn't quite that busy just yet, to keep planes moving when they're on the ground at an airport, in my opinion, it's better if you space out the terminals. And that's where the second taxiway comes into play. So I'll click on the airport. You can see I have two lines and I'll click on terminals. So there's Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. So what I'm going to do is build another terminal on the other side of the airport on the new taxiway, and then I'm going to take the Lansing to Fontana line that's at Terminal 2 and move it to Terminal 3. To build the third terminal, we simply click on Configure. And then we go to Passenger Terminal. And get in a little closer if I want. And I think I'll put it right about here. Now I may have another terminal down here at some point, so I'm going to put it just down right about here. So there's Terminal 3. Now I'm going to take the Lansing to Fontana Air line, which is in red, and I'm going to move it to Terminal 3. Now granted, there aren't a whole lot of planes yet at this particular airport, but it's going to grow. But at least we're starting to get things spread out nice and early. I'm going to leave this terminal in place for now, as I may end up using it later because my airport is growing. So that's my advice related to airport terminals. Remember, planes that are moving tend to make more money than planes that are not, so you want to keep them moving on the ground as well as in the air. My last tip has to do with wait times. In general, in my opinion, what works really well for me is reducing the wait time on an air passenger line to as small as possible. And this becomes a bit of a balancing act. If I click on this plane here and then go to the line itself and manage line, you can see I've got the wait time, the maximum wait time at 1 minute. Now I want that plane to be as full as possible, but at the same time I got another plane waiting right behind it, so I don't want it to be there for too long. So that's why I try to reduce the wait times as much as possible. And yes, it's a bit of a balancing act. But if a plane stays too long in a terminal, then the other planes on the same line, when they land, they could back up like this one here is now, so I don't want any more planes backing up and essentially causing an airport traffic jam. So in this case, you can see I have two planes backed up waiting for the one here that's at a terminal. So if I click on that plane and go to the line, manage line, I've already got the maximum waiting time down to 1 minute. So the only other thing I can do to speed up that plane is, instead of going load full or full load, click on that and just load if available. And I'm hoping that will speed up that plane, because I got to do something about this traffic jam. And actually I made a mistake. I changed the loading conditions at the wrong airport. If I go back to that line and manage the line, it's really the Pittsburgh airport that I wanted to change. So that ought to speed that up, because I've got two planes waiting and I got to speed that line up. So hopefully these planes won't be blocking the taxiway for very long, because there I have another plane coming in right behind it. And that plane's from another line, so I need to clear this taxiway as fast as possible. and that's why I keep the waiting time as small as possible. In any event, monitor and adjust those wait times to get the best balance between achieving the highest percentage of passenger loading and keeping your ground traffic going and moving at the airport. So in conclusion, I've shown you 5 easy tips on how to better manage passenger airports. Maybe you've got some tips of your own on how to manage passenger airports. If you do, I'd love to hear from you. Just leave a note in the comments below. If you have any questions, please feel free to note those questions below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If you have any Transport Fever 2 topics you would like to see a video on, please note that in the comments below too, because I'm always looking for video ideas. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you haven't done so already, smash that subscribe button below right now and click on the bell so you don't miss out on more great content. Click on that box in the bottom left-hand corner right now to see a video you're almost guaranteed to love. This video was selected just for you by YouTube, and they know what you like. So what are you waiting for? Click on that box now, sit back, relax, and enjoy another video.